He used to get out every night. Now, nobody sees him anymore. At first, nobody thought much about it. But then the small changes started stacking up. He stopped showing up. He stopped traveling. He stopped answering messages as fast. And little by little, people around him realized something changed. Most people don't notice the money disappearing first. They notice the person disappearing. At first, the changes seem harmless. He eats out less. He skips nights out. He suddenly becomes busy. He starts turning down invitations. And most people assume he's just slowing down. But sometimes, the behavior changes before the financial pressures become obvious. At some point, staying home stops feeling peaceful and starts feeling safer. Sometimes people aren't avoiding others because they hate them. They're avoiding the embarrassment of being seen struggling. The collapse usually doesn't start dramatically. It starts quietly. A smaller condo, cheaper meals, fewer trips, less convenience. Nobody notices immediately because the downgrade happens one quiet decision at a time. The coffee shops change, the routines change, the energy changes, and eventually, the lifestyle starts shrinking. People notice when a man stops spending, but they really notice when he stops showing up. One of the biggest warning signs is silence. He talks less. He avoids conversations about the future. He changes the subject when money comes up. And eventually, the emotional withdrawal becomes visible. When people stop seeing you outside, they start guessing what happened inside. At some point, answering messages start feeling emotionally expensive. Some expats disappear socially before they collapse financially. They stop answering calls. They avoid gatherings. They stay inside longer, and eventually, the isolation becomes normal. The scary part is how normal the downgrade feels in the beginning. Some people slowly disappear because they're trying to hide the math. By this stage, the person usually feels trapped between pride and reality. Eventually, the problem stops being just money. It becomes emotional survival, stress, embarrassment, exhaustion, fear, and pretending everything is still okay. The isolation usually starts long before the collapse becomes visible. Some people don't go broke publicly. They disappear privately. Most people never notice the collapse immediately. They notice the behavior first, the smaller routines, the isolation, the emotional withdrawal, and by the time people understand what's really happening, the person has usually been struggling alone for a very long time. It's Bobby D, straight out of the Philippines, bringing the truth unfiltered.